Alright. What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan, and welcome to episode 5 of the Cowboys Collective.
Hi, my name is Reggie Calaguas, and we're here with a very special guest, a very good friend of ours by the name of Vincent Larkin. And Vince is actually a man of many, many talents. As you can see here in the background, he is a radio broadcaster, among other things. He is a swimmer extraordinaire. He's a man, again, of many talents, many interests, and we certainly hope and trust that you'll find this broadcast to be, equal parts educational, entertaining, and really a very lively discussion, which we're about to have. And again, we're so excited to have you here, Vince. If you could introduce yourself here to the Cowboys Collective audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll kind of go from there.
Well, Reggie and Ethan, it's just been great knowing you all these years and to being a guest on your on this great podcast. It's actually my first podcast. I've been doing radio for a long time, did some television, did some acting, but I've never done a podcast. And the fact that you have a podcast, it's a big deal because people will ask me, how's your podcast? And I have to say, I don't have a podcast. And they go, oh, you're on the radio? Like FM or something? Yeah. And okay. But the fact that you have a podcast, that's so cool. I mean, you're gonna be the man.
Appreciate it.
All the gals asking, his podcast. He has a podcast. He has a podcast. I have FM. I'm FM radio, man. I'm like a dinosaur, but you've got the podcast. You've got the podcast. I mean, you are on the cutting edge. You are on the cutting edge. When I think about my years in the pantheon of communications, the great pantheon of communications here at KZSU, Stanford, home of the Cardinals, as we broadcast every Monday night. This is the studio. You're in the studio of the longest running show on KZSU college radio history, home of the Stanford Cardinal, home of Rose Bowls, home of Nobel Peace Prize laureates, all of them. This is the longest running show.
Oh.
Kind of like when Meet the Press, the longest running show on NBC. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, but I've got my panel, just like on Meet the Press. It feels like a Sunday afternoon, and we're talking heads. But it's not a Sunday afternoon because we're a podcast. So a podcast can be anytime, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's like it's not Sunday afternoon, and you're watching, Tom Brokaw, your buddy, or George Will, or the Talking Heads, because it's Sunday. Because if it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press or Meet the Depressed or whatever. It's Sunday,
Yeah.
So people would always have that Sunday time, right? Because it was sort of like in between. You had the Saturday sports, and then you have the Sunday sport. But there was that time where you tune in to watch a weekly with George Will, or they would
David
Brinkley. You would watch that and you would get educated because you'd watch these talking heads, and then you'd go watch sports, and then you'd have to show that you're smart. You'd turn on 60 Minutes, right? 60 Minutes,
Yeah.
right? So 60 Minutes, and you see, Michael Wallace destroy somebody and ruin their careers. And you go, yeah. And then go back to the highlights of the NFL, right? And you had gotten enough. You'd gotten your talking heads. You'd watch 60 Minutes, do your homework, get ready for the week. You don't need to do anymore. Maybe you'll touch, the Sunday newspaper, look at the magazine, but you've gotten enough. You're good, right? Because you had them, right?
Yeah.
But now things are different. I mean, I don't know. People are you have Shannon Breen, and you have Maria Bartiromo, and you have CBS CCBs. I mean, people don't even know who they are. 60 Minutes still is hanging in there, though. I mean, I watched some 60 Minutes. There's a great spot on Alyssa Liu,
Yeah.
who was
Yes.
a great spot on her a few months ago. I mean, so I still dabble into that, but the media has changed so much. The fact that you have a podcast. Now, I've got Joe Montana up there, Joe Montana. But you know, when you, Joe Rogan, man. I mean, Joe Rogan, you're like Joe Rogan. I mean, Joe Rogan, you got Marconi. Let's look at radio. You got Marconi, you know, you had Burns and Allen, you had Roosevelt and his fireside chats, you know, you had War of the Worlds, you know, and then, you had Wolfman Jack, and then, radio was going down, and along came Rush Limbaugh and changed everything and
That's true.
flipped AM radio into a talking thing where people could listen to politics. And now politics is a huge thing on the radio, with the conservatives doing a lot better than the liberals on it, Air America. I think, now
Al Franken.
Al Franken, that's right. And Howard, you had Howard Stern, had all the Howard Stern
Yes.
people. They were very devoted to him. And, and now you have podcasts. You have Joe Rogan. I mean, the guy started out in Hollywood with this fear factor.
Fear factor.
You had these wannabe actors and actresses.
Right.
And they needed a gig. So they had to eat worms and sit in a thing. And there was Joe Rogan feeding them worms. They were eating worms. And, it was just, or dropping them in the ocean. And then the next thing he's doing MMA. He's doing some MMA stuff. And MMA is really not, it's really small time stuff.
Yes.
And then along came his Spotify deal and just blew the doors open, the podcast.
Yeah.
You're not reading the Sunday New York Times. I'm not looking at the underwear ads in the New York Times newspaper or magazine when I was a little kid, when my parents brought home that.
Yeah.
I go, wow, the women in here are amazing. You're not, or reading Dave Anderson, right, in the LA Times, right? I mean, or the New York Times. There was always some great columns.
Jim Murray,
Dave. I mean, that stuff was great stuff. And but now that people don't do that, people don't. Washington Post is dying. All these papers are dying, and we're here in Palo Alto where there's a lot of newspapers, which is great. It's really newspaper. And I lived in LA, for a while, and I noticed up in Northern California that people, like in New York or the East Coast or in Boston, where you go to school with the Boston Terriers, people read a lot. They read the papers. They still read. And, people aren't doing that anymore. They're putting the podcast on. They're listening to the podcast. I talk to young people. I'm doing the podcast. They got something in that thing. They're working out. I go, hi. And they're like listening to a podcast, and they're not reading that anymore. And you're on the cutting edge of that, and Joe Rogan is now Mr. MMA, but he's also Mr. Podcast, and he's all racked, he's all jacked, and, you see these, and it's unbelievable, and people will see him. And now that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you have a podcast. This is a big deal. I'm on a podcast. I can say I've been on a podcast. I've never been on a podcast. And people always ask me, you should get a podcast. You should get a podcast.
Well, I think in some senses, the fact that you've got a radio show, which runs when? Monday nights?
Monday nights, sometimes Tuesday nights.
I mean, it's kind of a podcast in and of itself. It just happens to be at a scheduled time.
Yeah.
So what do you talk about on your shows?
Covering mainly city council, local stuff here in Palo Alto and at Stanford. But obviously it's Palo Alto being the center of the universe. Myself, all right, center of the Silicon Valley. I get to talk, the council wants to delve into international issues. So I get to talk about that. I get to talk about Stanford issues and community issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of all over the place. And, I get to watch politics really at the low end. It's kind of like covering, there's great people who have great careers. They move on to great things. They go to the state assembly. They go to state senate. Maybe they run for Congress. They make it in the big time. The Congress people come, they do a thing. So it's sort of like you're covering, you're kind of like covering minor league baseball, college football to a to a pro level, right?
Yeah.
You're sort of at a certain level, and it's fun. It's enjoyable. You also see just everyday people. You get to meet a lot of people, and that's what makes it interesting. But the thing about the podcast is just it's so great that you have that. I think about what the great convert to Catholicism, Marshall McLuhan would say,
Yeah.
medium is the message,
Yeah.
right? Medium is the message. And, they call him the birthplace. He's very highly regarded in the Silicon Valley, even
Yeah.
though he's kind of been canceled in Canada and the University of Toronto and all that. But, what he would say about podcasts, I would love to hear what he would say about podcasts. He said about radio and TV is that TV is a cool medium.
Yes.
Got to be cool.
This would have been about 1965,
right. Yes,
right around that
that's
time
right.
period.
That's
Yeah.
right. Because he died in 1980, and
Yeah.
TV is cool. You got to be cool to be on TV, and radio is hot. Hot. You got to be hot. Radio is a hot medium. TV is a cool medium. And when I got into newspapers, and then I went to College of San Mateo and got into the broadcast world. I wanted to do television. I did production assisted stuff. I did a legal show. I hosted I want to be TV. I want to TV. I mean, the radio people were weird. They were like engineers, with the cords, and it seemed like it was very technical. And I just wanted to be in front of the camera. And then as things went the way it went, I just kind of fell into the radio thing. The radio thing came up, and then the thing about radio is it's Limbo is very introverted. He's a very introverted guy, and there's a lot of prep time, a lot of individual prep time. I know that people who are on radio have producers, and they tell. And I've got a producer here, and sometimes they fill me in and they give me some things, but it's a lot of internal stuff. Where TV is a very you have a lot of people. You're doing this, you're doing that, you're reading the teleprompter. It's a lot of things. It's like a team effort. And the radio, and I think podcast is kind of that way. It's more of an individual thing, isn't it? I mean, you guys seem to be working as a team, which is really cool. Yeah. And I think the more you have that bounce off each other, that's great. Because
it's two different generations. So I think what we're able to do is we're able to provide it, differing perspectives.
Yeah.
So, with Ethan, he's grown up with all of this technology.
Yes.
He honestly doesn't know any better. My generation, having, grown up not only in the 70s and 80s, graduated from college in the early 90s. This was pre-internet.
Yes.
Pre-internet. I mean, we didn't have access to the internet, when I was in college.
No.
That didn't emerge until mid to late 90s.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yes.
So it's a completely different perspective. And so just kind of like the whole setup that we did, I was, looking at observing how you were rolling out your, I guess your studio setup here,
studio.
Right? Out of a literal closet.
Out of the closet. I'm coming out of the closet as a broadcaster. I'm coming out of the closet as a podcaster. I'm out of the closet.
There you go.
I want to announce I'm a podcaster. Out of the closet.
While Ethan here was, setting up, Zoom and trying to figure out different angles, right? So you see really the differences between the two generations and how messages are communicated.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I feel like that's the goal. That's why I started it, because I wanted to start with my dad, because we have two like opposite different perspectives, different stories. And I'm like, why not make content? Like I'm in college. I'm still, learning. So I just want to like learn and meet so many different people. And that's like the reason why I want to start the podcast. And I'm like, why not take advantage? I'm going to the East Coast. I'm here. I'm in the best places in the world. I'm like, got to take advantage of that, learn. So that's my goal behind it. And that's why I'm interviewing people. Like I went from college students and now I'm interviewing people like you with like tons of experience. So that's like,
you believe it?
That's crazy.
And
it's like a full circle. Like, yeah.
And now that I'm hip, I can hang out with you. You can be my wingman. Reggie, you're fired. If I'm with him, he's my wingman. We're going out. This is my buddy. We have a podcast.
Huh?
It's going to be great.
He's coaching me as we go along. I don't even know the nuances of things.
Doing the TV work.
Zoom out.
He's got it all good.
Okay.
Got it go. He's coaching you.
Yeah.
Something slow Zoom, tight Zoom. So that's what's great. So I'm on a podcast, America.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, and from Stanford, from Palo Alto, and it's a Cal podcast. That's my producer calling me right now. Like, why aren't you on the air? What are you doing? We see your podcast. Why aren't you doing the radio? What? They're already calling me. They're already calling me. The complaints are coming in. This is great because we're live. We're live.
So let me ask you this.
Yes,
You
sir.
brought up something here. If we
Yes,
could
sir.
just rewind a little
Let's
bit,
rewind.
right?
Mhm.
So Ethan mentioned something about, being acclimated to the East Coast, going to
Yes.
school at Boston
Yes.
University.
Yeah.
Your roots are actually
Yeah.
out of, I believe, New York
Yes.
and Philadelphia,
Correct. Yes.
with both of your parents
Yes.
being university professors,
Yes.
nominally
Yes.
academics.
Yes. Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
I would love to. Yes, my dad grew up in the Bronx, New York, and his family had a business. It was a lumber company in New Jersey, and he was served in the Port Authority during the war. His brother was in the Navy, got kind of hurt at a tariff. Or not a tariff, tariffs hurting him. No, tariff. It wasn't a tariff. He didn't get hit by a tariff.
Unconstitutional.
He didn't get hit by a tariff. Yes, he did get hit by a tariff. A turret. He was on a battleship, and it kind of messed him up. But he was okay. And there was a lot of family pressure to take over the business. But my dad was an academic. He loved went to Townsend Harris High School, which was a prep school, very much like Lowell was a prep school to Stanford or Bellarmine to Santa Clara. And you know about Lowell because your wife went to Lowell. So he went to Townsend Harris, which was a prep school for CCNY, which is now City University of New York, but then it was known as City College of New York, four-year public school, where it was a public school where New Yorkers, people in the city could attend. And he went to CCNY. Howard Cosell went to CCNY. So did Colin Powell is a CCNY graduate. So anyway, now it's City University of New York. And then he loved philosophy and logic, and then went on and got a master's from Columbia, and was on a university track and studied with Dietrich von Hildebrand, who was a great philosopher who escaped from the Nazis, who was on a death list by the Nazis, and his wife. And he did the university thing for many, many years. He met my mother, who had gone went to Radnor High School in Philadelphia, and then went on to wanted to be a nurse, had a calling to be a nurse, and she went to College of St. Rose in upstate New York. Talk about snow, and the nuns were like the Marines. I mean, it was brutal, but became the best nurse because it was so tough. And then from there, went to Philadelphia, where she worked with C. Everett Koop.
Surgeon General.
Yeah, the Surgeon General.
Reagan administration.
Reagan administration. That's right. Worked at Children's Hospital, where he was a surgeon who did separation of. He separated Siamese twins, babies with their heads attached.
Yes.
He was able to successfully work with them, and from that she got a degree from University of Pennsylvania in education, and then went into education, and she was a professor at Villanova, and my dad was teaching at Villanova, and that's where they met.
And your dad taught, what did he teach at Villanova?
He taught philosophy,
Okay.
philosophy and logic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they met right there. And she, of course, being a nurse and an educator, she was the moneymaker for sure. She always had work. And my dad, being a philosophy professor, it's kind of tough. You get work here, you get work there. Although the Augustinians were very nice to him at Villanova. My mother was from Philadelphia, and my grandfather swam for Villanova, so he was on the swim team.
Wow.
So, and my aunt and my mom, my granddad was a big alum. We used to drag them to Villanova basketball games.
Wow.
And I know you have a passion. You guys have a passion for the hoops.
We do.
Passion for Cal. For you went to USF as well. So you have USF Law School. So you have a passion for hoops. And my mom saw so much basketball. My dad loved it. And when Villanova won with Raleigh Massimino, it was a big thing.
1985.
It was a big deal.
2016 too.
Yeah,
And 2016 as well.
2016, yeah.
More his generation.
Your generation, that's right. We had the great man. It's unbelievable.
Gary McLean, Dwayne
Gary
McLean,
McLean, Dwayne, Ed Pinkney.
Ed Pinkney.
Ed Pinkney, but oh my God, beating Georgetown of all teams. Georgetown.
I mean, the old Big East final.
Big East. I mean, it was Georgetown with the sweaters. The Final Four was Louis Conaseca. I think it was Louis Conaseca, Seton Hall. It was all Catholic. Louis Conaseca,
Chris
Seton Hall.
Mullen.
Chris Mullen.
Yeah.
St. John's with Louis Conaseca, God rest his soul. Big John Thompson, God rest his soul. And Raleigh Massimino, God rest his soul. And
Jim Boeheim.
Jim Boeheim, yes, Jim Boeheim. And then Seton Hall was coached by,
Was it PJ Carlissimo? He was a little after.
Was it?
He was a little after.
He was a little after.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a great final. Yeah. And then, of course, Jay Wright came along, Mr. George Clooney, and changed everything for Villanova. Now Villanova's the place, right? Villanova. We have a pope. We have an American pope from Villanova.
Right.
Now, he has a degree in mathematics from Villanova.
You know what's great here?
Yeah.
We have multiple conferences represented. We have
Yes.
the Pac-8,
Yes.
the Pac-10,
Yes.
the Pac-12,
Yes.
the Big East,
Yes.
the ACC,
Yes.
Patriot League.
The Patriot League. That's a great league. That is a great league.
Underrated.
Very underrated. That is very
How
underrated.
did your parents end up here?
Well,
And where were you born?
well, I was born in LA. I was born in Glendale at St. Vincent de Paul Hospital, which run by the Sisters of Mercy, which is no longer, COVID killed St. Vincent de Paul Hospital, which is a shame because that was a great hospital there was St. Vincent's, there's a whole bunch of great Catholic hospitals in LA, and St. Vincent's was a big hospital, but COVID killed it. That was the end of it. It doesn't exist anymore. But they came out because they got married in New York at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and I have a cousin who was a Monsignor,
Wow.
who was on staff at St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Didn't know that.
So they did it in the chapel. They didn't do it in the big, but the little chapel of St. Patrick's Cathedral. And, they're doing a wedding rehearsal, and they're waiting for my cousin, the priest. And all of a sudden there's this man in a carnation, very dapper man. And he comes in, he lights a candle. Dad looks at us. It's Maurice Chevalier. Hey, Oriental girls. Maurice Chevalier was at my parents' wedding rehearsal. He was in the light of candle. Maurice Chevalier of all people.
That's amazing.
I mean, if you had been there, we got a picture because your dad is great at getting pictures.
Yeah.
And they would have gotten a picture with. There's always a story my dad wants to tell about the wedding. It may have actually been the morning of the wedding, and they were getting ready, and there was Maurice Chevalier lighting a candle.
And what year was this?
This was 1958, 59 in New York. Yeah. And then they came out to the coast. They went to San Francisco for their honeymoon, had a great time. And that really set the seed. And then one of the things I did my thesis on at the University of California, Santa Cruz, was the master plan of the University of California, the state universities, and the junior colleges. And because it was the master plan, which was one of the greatest educational accomplishments in the country. When California had a great educational system, the junior college,
Yeah.
the state
Yeah.
universities, and the University of California.
Yeah.
That I did a whole thesis on that, and that's what brought my parents out because they needed teachers. And they went to. My mom was at UCLA. My dad taught. My mom taught nursing at UCLA. My dad taught at Loyola of Los Angeles, which would then move out to Loyola Marymount. But he was teaching philosophy there, and then at a couple of other junior colleges and Catholic universities. And then they got the master plan. They were building these junior colleges, and if you got on at a junior college, you just teach. You didn't have to publish. You didn't have to do all this stuff. You could really, and these programs just came up. My mom was at Foothill and then De Anza, and she would take her students originally to Stanford, and then Stanford canceled their nursing program, and now then to El Camino. And that really set us up. That really set us up. And my dad taught at various junior colleges in Catholic universities. My dad also sold ice cream. He had an ice cream truck. He would sell ice cream in the summers. I would work in the ice cream truck, which was great because that gave me a work ethic. And he also did real estate. He worked in, so he had to do a lot of different things because being a philosophy professor, unless you get tenured, it's very, very hard. But my mom was able to really key in on the demand, particularly training young women to go into the nursing field. And then nursing has evolved so much. You have, I think, in a nursing school now, you have 40% men. You have men coming. And I remember she would say, yeah, there was a guy who was we have one man and he was in the Navy or he was in the Marines. He was a corpsman. He wants to be a nurse. And there was this whole stigma about a man being a nurse. And these are like, these guys are amazing. They were like corpsmen, they want to, and they become, well, now male nurses are everywhere.
Yes.
It's a great thing. So that was, and my mom was in pediatrics, which she loved, which was really great. And that was really exciting. So
Which hospitals did she
she was mainly at El Camino,
El Camino.
O'Connor Hospital in San Jose.
Okay.
Yeah, El Camino, O'Connor. Yeah. During the war, she worked for the Navy at Oak Knoll Naval Hospital over in the East Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my dad would drive me over, and we'd be waiting outside because it was late. She'd do a late shift. My dad wasn't going to have her walking out to the car alone. He's going to pick her up because, those times, nurses could be attacked. They could still be attacked. But my dad would tell me stories of history, and he would just talk to me about things. And then I'd fall asleep, and he would tell me stories of history stories, and that got my interest in history up. And then, we'd pick up my mom, and then we would drive home. And my mom saw a lot of rough things out of Vietnam. They brought a lot of those guys back, either to Letterman or to Oak Knoll Naval Hospital, and they were coming back. And then we were watching it on the news. We were watching the images of Vietnam, and so those things obviously shaped me. I wanted to be in the service, but my mom was saying, no, you're not going in the service. And it was a big debate with my parents. And education was a big deal, and being associated with Stanford is obviously it's great to be part of that. It's great to have it still, I do alumni stuff as you do, you with Berkeley and me with Santa Cruz, and just to be part of that, it's important. It's just a part of it. But my dad didn't want me to, I dabbled and took the GREs. I dabbled in some graduate school stuff, but my dad wanted me out in there. But he would say, you're not going that way. I want you out. My dad would used to say, I want you out in the real world. I want you out in the real world. I don't want you in academics. And, looking at it now, you look at the way the state of academics is, I wouldn't want to be a professor now with all the stuff going on. You gotta be careful what you say. It's
lack of academic freedom.
Things are a lot of professors have retired. It's not what it once was. I think at one time there was a huge thing. And, my dad wanted me to say, you're going to get a good education, and you're going to work. You're not going to work with your hands. You're not going to be but now that's reversed. We know that if your kids want to go into the trades, go for it. I mean, these are the guys that have the families. These are the guys that, if you can get a trade, and it's all because of our friend, the Dirty Jobs guy, who's paying for everything.
That's right.
Mike Rowe has changed it. And I'm sure you're going to have him on your podcast.
We will someday.
You are going to have him on your podcast because he's been on Joe, and he's changed everything. If you're a guy,
That's true.
Then you can be a man and really work hard. And, boy, and that goes entirely against what my dad wanted. So my dad was right on some things, but I think the way academics has moved, it's just and I have a good friend who got his PhD and was in science, and he was at Cal, he was at UCSF, and he's out of it now, and he got kind of screwed over, and it's very competitive. It's not it's academics is very, very tough, and labs compete for funding, and there's a lot of dirty stuff that goes on, and and you think if you study hard, you work hard, it's all going to pay off, and it's a shame to see that, because you want to think that if you study hard, you work hard, you're going to get, there was that dream of education, that
Right.
promise
Right.
that it was gonna happen. And, there's a lot of people who, they hold on to that, and, when it may be time to get out or move on or pivot, but, but it's still great to be a part of it. And, education obviously is so important. I mean, like we were talking about Marshall McLuhan at the University of Toronto and all the things that he did in Cambridge, and, in those days, you could be well educated and write books and you could influence things. Now I don't know if you really influence things anymore. It's just like, it just sort of seems like the academic thing is just sort of a survival. Everyone's, kind of locked in. It's like when you were at the University of California, Berkeley, you were at those big halls and you're searching for a TA. And if you don't just miss the hour, a TA shuts the door on you, you never even see the professor's way over there, And and I'm sure you're going through that. I mean, Boston U may be different. I don't know, but it's a different world. And I see the thing that's so great about what you're doing is you're putting yourself out there in the arena. And of course, that's the great thing. I always think of that. JFK said it, Ronald Reagan said it, the Teddy Roosevelt in the arena. You want to be in the arena. Even guys who've retired. I mean, I know a lot of guys, they're retiring and they're not doing anything. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm very blessed to be in the arena, to be out there in the arena, in the mix. And that's the goal I think of every man should be, is always in the, and of course you have a family, so it's a little different because you're in their arena too. So you're in your arena, you're in their arena. So you're really in the arena, Reggie, and that's where you should be.
I love what you just said about being in the arena. You were, you're a director for a swim school.
Yeah.
So Ethan, obviously,
Yeah.
and his older brother Reagan,
Yes.
were graduates of that
Yeah.
program.
Yeah. Who went on to golf and soccer.
Golf and soccer, right?
And basketball.
And basketball,
Yes.
track,
And track.
and the like.
Yes.
When you talk about the arena, I mean, I think for somebody like yourself, with the background that you have, so you have this uncanny ability to be able to relate two different generations, right? So you're out in the arena,
Yeah.
at an amazing swim school, teaching, kids as young as, but not even a year old,
Right.
all the way up to elementary school age kids,
Yeah.
teenagers. I've seen you personally interact with, your team over there,
Yes.
which includes, young adults, that are Ethan's age,
Yes.
18, 19,
Yeah.
20, 21, 22.
Yes.
And you're able to relate to them as
Yeah.
well. You obviously have more tenured staff there as well.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Late 20s or
Yes.
30s, maybe even to
Yes.
their 40s,
Yes.
that you relate to as well.
Yeah.
You've dipped your toes here, or have for a
Yes.
number of years, working in the university setting.
Yeah.
So there's kind of that big age range of,
Mhm.
undergraduates to
Yes.
graduate students to tenured professors. And you deal with parents as well.
Yes.
And you do this, at least outwardly, with just a level of unbridled enthusiasm,
Thank you. Yes.
which is, I know, is very sincere. It's obviously infectious. How did you build that skill to be able to work effectively across so many different generations, kind of, going from, the radio broadcast generation to the TV generation to the podcast generation? How are you able to do all of that?
I'm interested in the podcast generation. I never thought I'd be on a podcast, but I'm on one. Yes, they are three generations.
Yeah.
It is the radio, the TV, and the podcast.
Right.
And I think it's just, having, uh, getting that energy, I think from young people, they give you that energy. I mean, you obviously were having kids, you get that energy, but they give you an energy, they give you an excitement. You see their excitement, and that makes you excited, and then you're seeing the young parents, they just want so much for their kids, and they just, they're there, and they're going through it, and they sit there and they watch them, and you see it. You just see with the babies and you see that joy. I mean, real joy. They're not gonna, that's just unbelievably right at joy, and having done it for so many years, and I can remember, being, my first job as a lifeguard or a swim instructor, and you're all nervous and what it's like, and getting ready, and people are judging you and looking at you, and you have to be on stage. You have to, have that confidence, build that confidence, and helping people do that is really great. And yeah, and just seeing people come, I'm lucky because people want to be there. It's like it's like you're at a pub, right? When we're at the pub, when we're at the Irish pub, having seen people that I know run pubs, the people come, and you want to make them happy, and they want to be. It's not like you're not working at the DMV where nobody wants to be there. You're not even working at hospitals or something where people don't want to be there.
Right.
You're working at some place where people want to be. Even here, people come because they want to contribute to the community. They have something to say.
Yeah.
They've practiced their 5 minutes or their 2 minutes of oral communications, and they're waiting. Public comment.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And they've waited and they've rehearsed it, and they're going to get it done. And you've got to let them, it's a big deal for them, and they always want to get their thing in. They have their moment. And, listening, you're talking about parents, listening to parents and what they want, and the whole, competitive thing. And we want our medal, we want our ribbon, and some people, they just want their kids to just learn how to swim.
Yeah.
And they want to get them into club baseball, and others want to be they want their kids to be Michael Phelps, and it's a variety of things. You kind of have to gear it to what they want. But yeah. But all of these things give you energy and give you things that gives you a purpose.
Yes.
You have a purpose that people are depending on you.
Yes.
And they need you, and you have to step up. You have to do it. Getting on this podcast. The podcast is coming. You're coming from Boston to do this. We've all lost an hour of sleep. We got to do it. We got a morning meeting. We're going to do it. We have a show tonight. We're going to do this. We're going to get this done. Because it's a big deal.
I know Ethan's got a burning question for you.
I have a burning question. Yeah,
Yes.
So I mean, you've talked about like that energy, but like, is there something bigger? I know you're a very, devout Catholic.
Yes,
What is something like just your views on, Catholic Church and
Yes.
faith and how
Yes.
that drives you through your life?
Yes, I think it's very important. I think especially when you see, I was very blessed to have two parents who had a beautiful, beautiful marriage, a beautiful Catholic marriage. I mean, it was just beautiful, and you see that, and it's such an example, and being with them, taking care of them till the end, and what that faith meant to them. It's just, and how it grew together, how they grew together at the end. I mean, they even grew closer. It just makes sense of everything that comes across, of everything you learn, of everything you questioned before. I grew up in the Church of the Vatican too. All we are saying is get, in my time.
Very evangelical.
Mother Mary comes to me, speak, and just all this stuff. And it was just like what my dad said, good Pope John opened the window to let the little bit of air in the church, and the whole church dropped out. Where'd everybody go? The "Oh, man, go be a queen! Everybody, I'm going to open the window, let a little bit of air in. It's been a couple thousand years, and the whole church jumped out. Go, man, go be a queen!" And
Why did they jump out?
Oh,
I mean, I guess that's probably for a different podcast.
that's for your Peter Robinson podcast when you get him on.
Well, that's right. When we get him on.
Because once you get him on, you'll forget all about me, because he is Mr. Stanford interviewer.
We'll know where it all began. You'll never forget the origin story.
Yes. And then we had, and then we went through this, and then we had John Paul II, who was very dynamic. It was a very exciting time to be young and to have him. And you had World Youth Day, and it was exciting. And then, we had Benedict, who was more of a real intellectual, and very, and nobody appreciated that brilliance. Jesus of Nazareth is just an incredible book. Just he understood so much, but being German, it's a little different. So didn't have that German charisma. Although I remember he did a speech. He was in I think Dunwoody, which is a seminary, and there was all these people and they were cheering, and he said, and he was speaking, people were cheering, and he said, "Oh, non ricordo spagnolo." I forgot my Spanish, and the place went crazy. And I knew then, I said, the next pope is going to be a Spanish speaker. I know it. And then we had our man from Argentina. "Don't cry for me, Argentina." Love him. He's a rugby guy. Love him. And San Lorenzo football. And I love that Messi finally got a World Cup. And then he took the church to, I don't know. And now we have an American who's kind of trying to bring things back. At the same time, he's trying to be politically correct. I think right now, where the church is, it was an interesting piece in the New York Times, of all newspapers, about the Orthodox Church in New York. Now, if you've ever been to an Orthodox church, it's very hardcore in the sense that if you're Catholic, they don't have kneelers. You stand. It's very lots of bells and smell, but it goes on, a lot of icons. It's hard, but a lot of young men moving to the Orthodox Church. Now, why is that? Why would the Orthodox Church be, you have young men who've gone through sort of the, fundamentalist, evangelical, and now they're going to the Orthodox Church, which is interesting. And they said that young men want to be challenged. They want to be, there's something about that. I think the church may be missing something, after the Charlie Kirk thing. It was so dynamic. And he was actually talking and actually going to the Catholic Church.
That's right.
I think the church and this Pope could be missing an opportunity to get those young men by trying to, and I know they're trying to do more, but there's that whole group of young men out there. And this may sound sexist, but if you're a young man and you're going to church, young ladies will follow you. The young ladies will follow you. They will, if they see that young man, where if they are looking for, there are a lot of women who are looking for a man who is a man who has that direction. Not every woman, because you have women who are into their careers, and God bless them, and they've achieved things, they work hard, they deserve it. But that's you have like Hollow, and you have I hang out with my man Chris Pratt and Mark Wahlberg. We're just hanging out, kind of like we are today.
Right.
And we're saying the rosary, and we're saying that because we're just Catholic dudes. And that's how we, after workout, we're just hanging out, praying the rosary, But you look at, but is the church, and he seems like obviously Villanova. I mean, he was at the 1993 World Series with the Chicago White Sox.
2005.
2005. They won. The White Sox won.
The A.J. Brzezinski.
The A.J. Brzezinski.
Won a rebound.
Yes.
White Sox.
Yes.
And Mark Burley.
Yes. He was at the game. He was at the World Series.
That's right.
And he's a dual citizenship of Peru and the United States. And obviously he's loyal to the the predecessor from Argentina, South American. South Americans that I know are interesting. They have a different perspective on life. Certainly, Pope Francis had a different perspective. He was from South America, and I'm excited about the World Cup and talking to all my South American friends from Peru and Colombia, and you know, he is an interesting guy because he has that, and I think he's trying to, in a way, bring back things. Of course, he's also an accountant, and he was brought in because the church is financially in a lot of trouble, and I don't know if that had a lot to do with his. But the fact that they chose an American was just nuts to me, because the first thing I would say when I was doing a preview after the death of Pope Francis, Bergoglio was, well, then, you know, it's going through all the possibilities, right? And he wasn't on the list. You know, he was not on the list. And all of a sudden, I said, well, they'll never pick an American, because the whole thing was they'll never pick an American pope, because they're never going to pick a pope from a superpower. It's just not going to happen.
That's right.
It's not going to happen. There's a great movie years ago by Otto Preminger called The Shoes of the Fisherman with Anthony Quinn. And it's about a Russian who becomes Pope. It's a great movie. It's an epic movie about the papacy and international espionage and intrigue. And it's one of the classic movies. And but you know, when Karol Wojtyła became Pope out of Poland. I mean, that was pretty close in a way to the Shoes of the Fisherman, because he was coming from a communist country.
That's right.
He was Poland, and he and Lech Walesa.
Solidarity.
Yeah. Really, I mean, he was the linchpin with Ronald Reagan to flip, and a little bit of Margaret Thatcher. I'll give her a little bit of credit. I'm Irish. As you can see, I'm
reluctant.
I'll give her a little bit of credit. But she liked Gobi a lot, though. She kind of went Gobi over Gobi. But anyway, Gorbachev. But anyway, that flipped the whole thing. That brought down the Iron Curtain. But that was sort of along the lines of that movie when he came out that night, and it was from Poland, of all places, with its history. And so, I mean, I can't believe that it's happened, that in my lifetime I have seen a man on the moon. I have seen the Berlin Wall come down, and I've seen an American Pope.
Yep.
It's just unbelievable. It's just an unbelievable thing that I've been able to see. I mean, these were things that growing up you would never think that Russia and the Iron Curtain would.
Right.
I mean, you look at our hockey team that just won.
Right.
You know, they were professionals. It's a different thing than when it was in 1980.
Amateurs. Well, BU
Boston, right? The Boston Terriers.
Yeah.
All those Boston guys.
Yeah.
All those guys.
Yeah.
Can you
He sees Mike Ruzioni on campus all the time.
Do you really? You see Mike Ruzioni? No, when I saw him at the Olympics, when it was the morning of the game in Milan, he said, "This is the team. This is the team that's going to do it." I was in the locker room.
Yeah.
And Wayne Gretzky was there, and Wayne Gretzky kind of said he thought the United States had the team, and they did, and they won. And it was seeing.
He's more American than most Americans.
Oh, he's very
Wayne
American.
Gretzky.
Wait, he is. He is. You know, he's got it. He really is. I think it would be a great premiere of Canada.
Wouldn't he?
Wouldn't he? Could go to Ottawa. We'll go to Ottawa and just escape. Oh yes. Yeah, and of course, and his son-in-law Dustin Johnson hitting the ball, playing golf, and that was great. I mean, to know that, and I saw Man on the Moon and the Space Shuttle and all that. So I've seen a lot of great things that I could never thought that I would see in my lifetime. And now we have podcasts, which is amazing.
Right.
And everything is on the phone now, the whole phone thing.
I know, right?
It's just, it's an unbelievable world. Yeah. And Marshall McLuhan was constantly talking about whoever could get the communication In fact, he was quite a Catholic, and he had done a thing on can the Catholic Church survive in the new age of communication? Well, now you have Catholic radio, you have Catholic television, they've kept up in many ways. I'm on Hollow, you have all these things. But it's a constant, and in political parties too, in politics, you saw that the Democrats initially really had the advantage with Obama with technology. They were on it, man. McCain didn't have a chance. Obama was so on it. He had the best of the best working the way, man. It was just boom, boom. And now the Republicans have caught up. They flipped that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And they're the ones.
Yes.
They did have that technology.
With the tech bros and of course,
right.
overtaken basically the podcast medium.
They really have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's interesting how it goes, how you can have that, how it's so important to be on top of that, to be part of something like this, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
What's the moon landing real?
I don't know. I think it was done in Arizona. Was it done in Arizona?
I couldn't help myself.
What?
I just couldn't help myself.
Always go into theories.
That's a different podcast.
Another different podcast.
Just like, flat earthers and the whole
That's
thing.
funny. That's another different podcast. Vatican II.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like all these events, like, it's just crazy to see that. Like I say, like, I feel like now it's changing for us. Like even technology. First, you guys were talking about the internet. Now we're talking about AI.
Yes.
And like all those type of like crazy things. And,
yes.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like the Catholic Church. I don't think it'll like ever. I don't know if it'll ever die because it's just so traditional.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just my thought on it. What do you think? Like, I mean, do you think it's like dying or like? I mean,
no, I agree with you. I thought that it would. I mean, the church scandal was pretty devastating. I thought that was really the end. But I mean, I had always heard. I mean, it's kind of like baseball in the Catholic Church. Being at the Pope, being at the World Series, the two things they always tell you. This is the end of baseball. This is the end of baseball. Baseball's still going, right? They even have a clock now. Drives me crazy, but baseball's still going, right? Same thing with the church. It's still.
God forbid they have the golden bat or the golden hitter.
Wait, that isn't it? Is that an actual thing?
No. They
never
talk
know.
about it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You never know, right?
You don't like the pitch clock? I feel like I kind of like it. It
Of course, because you're a youngster.
speeds up the game.
Yeah, you're a youngster. It's not a pastime anymore.
Well, tell that story.
To be a pastime.
Speaking of the pastime, tell that story about, speaking of the Catholic Church,
yes.
about Good Friday.
Yes.
Good Friday.
Yes.
And baseball games.
Yes. Yes.
On Good Friday.
Yes.
Please tell that story.
I was in New York on a Good Friday, and I think it was the Mets, not the Yankees. The Mets had an opener at 105 on a Good Friday. And the Archbishop of New York, at that time it was John O'Connor. It was getting towards the end. It was a great Archbishop, was furious. He was furious. He called up the commissioner. I mean, it was in the newspaper all week. It was even on Regis and Kathy Lee. They were talking about how can you have, and they eventually moved the time from after 3:00, which of course Christ died from 12 to 3, and they moved it. Well, now they have opening games all the time on Good Friday. They have no reverence for that. And it's like they're just gonna, but it was a big deal, and you would never have an opening day on Good Friday. You just wouldn't, and particularly between 12 and 3. And it was just a reverence thing, and to be in New York, which is such a Catholic city, so Catholic,
yes,
and baseball such a big deal, and
Mom Donnie's Catholic, right?
Oh yes, he is. He's very devout.
I have to throw that in. Sorry.
Very devout. He's had a busy 24 hours. Good friend, though. Like him. Youngster. Come on over. Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing?
You know what, Ethan?
It shows how much President Trump does care about New York.
He does. But that was such a great question that Ethan asked about the Catholic Church, and then you kind of talking about baseball, and then of course the story about the the Archbishop
Right.
putting so much pressure
Yeah. On baseball.
on city government,
Yeah.
city government and baseball
Yeah.
to reschedule
Right.
opening day.
Right.
I kind of throw this out at you just to,
Yeah.
just, I hate to play devil's advocate, but
Right.
I'm going to do it anyway. There's a whole thing about, right, separation of church and
Sure.
state. I mean,
Sure.
should the church really dictate,
Right.
what government's going to do?
Right.
And then, of course, as it relates to baseball.
Right.
But I think we've swung too far in the
yeah.
other direction,
they don't care.
where we
Yeah.
don't respect religious
No, we
institutions
don't.
any longer,
No.
and traditions,
No.
for that matter.
No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't respect it. And I'm all, I think, yeah, I mean, it's
Or it's gotten too secular. I mean,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I agree. I mean, I think that it's I mean, you have the whole, I mean, it's amazing when I go to football games. I'll go to a Stanford Notre Dame game. And, you see the players out there, and we had a really nice mass at by the Stanford chaplain. And these are mainly Notre Dame people, but it was a Stanford Notre Dame mass at the Friday before the Saturday game. And he was a priest, and he's with the team, the Stanford team, and it was really interesting. Like sometimes I'll get to a game and I'll see the players, and you see a player run to the corner and they'll take a knee and they'll cross themselves, or some of them will hold hands and they'll say a prayer or whatever. And I always look at that. I have a Notre Dame group that I go to because Subway alumni can say, well, my dad used to go to the games at Yankee Stadium, cheer for the Irish against the Army. Oh, Subway alumni. But, you see, we have a USC guy, and I know you guys love USC. We have a USC guy who comes and he says, and he ran track at USC with OJ. And he says, he went to SI and
No kidding.
yeah, and he's a St. Gregory's guy. And he says, I'm telling you, there are more Catholics on the USC football team than on Notre Dame. And the Notre Dame goes, oh, shut up, But I would always sit there and it's a pregame. You look at the different players and how they're acting because they're going into, combat. It's a combat sport. They can get very, very hurt. It's, you're not playing pickleball. You're not playing golf. You get hurt in those games too. You get hurt at anything. But, it's and you watch that. And I look at people like that great picture that you have with Fernando Mendoza. You have that great picture when he played at Cal. And then his testimony. And we had Katie Ledecky speak at Stanford and her testimony.
Convent, Katie Ledecky, convent schools.
Very devout. These are very devout young people.
Convent at the Sacred Heart.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey
too. Yeah. Yep, that's right. And and you look at you look at Notre Dame, and you look at Boston College, and you look at which you're very familiar with, and you look at these Catholic universities, and why can't they get these kids to those universities? They're going secular. They'd rather be at a Newman club or with young people who maybe they have an interfaith thing than what these we're going to recruit this and we're going to recruit that. So there's something missing that you could have someone like Mendoza who talks openly about his Catholic faith.
Yeah, that's right.
And what is it that the Catholic Church or the Catholic education is missing? Or are they just so into, we're going to win a championship. We're going to win a championship. We're going to win a champ. I don't know. I'm not in that mindset, but, and that also changes things too, that, many years ago, if you were a Catholic athlete, you would go to USF or you would go to St. Mary's or you go to, because that's where you could be accepted. Well, now it's very different. They have Newman clubs. They have groups that they can relate to they can flourish on their own. You have things like Hollow or whatever, and you can kind of get fed your way. You don't, not that you don't need the institution, but you don't need, they go to Notre Dame and, okay, I'm going to go to Indiana,
Right.
I'm going to go play for a Catholic coach who's on the spectrum, or the coach of Indiana, who's a brilliant guy.
Signetti.
Brilliant guy.
Yeah.
who walks out of a team meeting and talks to the media and walks around because he's brilliant.
Yes,
And
yes.
Saban is going crazy,
Yes.
tearing him apart.
Yes.
When the guy is like Elon Musk, he's on the spectrum, but he's got it.
That's a great observation.
He's an amazing man.
Yeah.
And Lou Holtz just passed, and you and I saw Lou Holtz.
We did.
And of course, but he coached.
He was a little cranky, actually.
Yeah, he was a little cranky. He was a little cranky. And he had coached at all those other schools, North Carolina or University of South Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, all these other secular schools. They took them all to bowl games.
Yeah.
And there's this great story. There was all these obits about him. And he was very Catholic, but he went on these recruiting trips. And it was the year they won the championship, and he got Tony Rice, who was the quarterback.
Yes.
And he had to go to way out to Appalachia or something to get Tony Rice. And he's this black family.
Yeah.
He knows
Yeah.
who in the family is the decision maker, and it's the grandmother, right?
Yes.
And he's just talking, doing card tricks and getting and all this. And the grandmother says, "You're going to go with this young man." And Tony Rice had never even been to Indiana. He didn't even know where Notre Dame was.
Yep.
And so then he's running these plays with Tony Rice, and he says, all right, he was such a detailed guy. And he would say, "Tony, I want you to go on a 45-degree angle. Let's run it." And so he had the ball, went into a 45-degree angle with the ball to pass it out. Nope. Do it again. Nope. Let's do it again. It's getting late. That's a 47-degree angle. That's a 45.5-degree angle. And until he got it down to I want you to do, Tony, I need you to do this 45-degree angle. It's getting dark. And that was the kind of detail that he had on every little thing. And
it's almost like a Bill Walsh.
Yes.
How he treated the quarterbacks, where the ball had to be delivered 12 inches in front of the receiver.
Yes.
Or past the receiver, rather.
Yes.
12 inches.
Yes.
Right.
It had to be that way.
Yeah.
Like back then they taught like more like, I feel like now they teach more like strategy in football, like instead of the actual skill set.
Yes.
Because don't they have like their own, like now they have like skill set coaches, right? Like coaches for that particular skill, like how to tackle, like, or how to, run that.
Everything is departmentalized, right?
It's departmentalized.
Yeah.
I mean, the coaching staffs are gigantic.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
'cause
unbelievable.
back then, were they not? Like, were they smaller?
They're much smaller coaching
Like,
staffs.
like what, strength and conditioning, and then like head coaches.
Your coordinators, and that was about it. Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
And now it's.
But that's amazing, right? Because a head coach coaching to that level of detail, which normally would be, to your point, a quarterback coach.
Yes.
Who would teach that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And that goes into the whole, they just had the conference at the White House with trying to save college sports.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, what's going on with that? And the whole thing of, I know you were a big fan of Stanford's coach Shaw, so was I.
Yeah.
And did he get out at the right time or what? He saw that. I mean, I don't know how these guys do it. I mean,
I liked him because he seemed like he had a really good family work balance.
Yes, he did. He really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I talked to him, when I would meet with him at lunches and stuff, he would talk about his girls and they were going to the beach and they were swimming and doing Sharknado and he was talking about all this great stuff.
Yeah.
And he was he just had that and I know he's still at Stanford and I think he's in his consultant or whatever, but how do you get players now? I don't know. What do you have to do? And you have a player and then he's off to somewhere else. It's just this whole thing is just crazy.
I was teasing Ethan because we were watching the Patriot League semifinals.
Yes.
Boston U.
Yes.
He's got a couple of colleagues.
I know them, yeah.
That he knows pretty well.
Yeah.
Chance Gladden, who hit 2 game winners in a row. He knows him.
Not personally.
But he sees him on campus.
That's so cool.
Right?
Yes.
And then who's the 3-point shooter?
Yeah. Like I see them, like Sam and all them, like it's great to see, freshmen thriving. Like they're just like in my position, but they happen to, play basketball. So that's really cool.
Yes.
And then I don't know, we saw like them hit the game winner against like Navy, and that was pretty sick.
Wow.
They're going to the they're going to the finals against
Yes.
Lehigh for a chance at the 16th seed.
Wow.
And they actually might play Florida in the first round. And like one of my closest friends actually goes to Florida, so that's gonna be fun. And it's just like pretty sick. So
Yes.
Well, and and what I was teasing him, and I said, that Chance Gladden, who's hit
Yes.
the 2 game winners.
Yeah.
There's a great what's the name of the 3-point shooter?
McNair.
Oh, sure.
Michael McNair,
McNair,
right?
yeah.
I said, you know what? Enjoy them because they're heading off to the portal. Not that we're breaking news here and we don't want to get into rumor and innuendo, but I said, my goodness, those kids, I mean, it's ice water in their veins, right? I said, you know what? A bigger program's going to want those guys.
Yes.
Good luck.
Good luck. That's
I mean, speaking of the
Right.
transfer portal,
That's
right?
transfer
I mean,
portal.
you guys are getting hit with, I mean,
Yeah. It's
Stanford didn't have,
quarterback. I don't think.
you don't have a quarterback.
Kind of, yeah.
You don't have a spring game.
No spring game.
I think Cal's going the same direction. They're not going to have a spring game either.
No spring game. No spring game.
What's spring game? Is that open practice?
It's
Where we saw Mendoza.
Like it's an open
that's
practice.
yeah.
Well, it's basically the blue gold
Blue
scrimmage.
gold.
What is it?
Red, white.
Red white. Yeah.
You go, yeah.
Yeah.
It's for like a roster spot or
It's sort of like
for
a
depth chart. Get your name up on the depth charts.
in Ohio it's televised.
No, exactly. It's a big piece. And it's an actual
And it's
game.
televised.
Yeah.
For Bama, it's televised.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it's like a glorified preseason game in a
Okay.
way.
But
Because they don't have
yeah.
preseason, which I love about college.
Which I love about that
I
too.
can't
Yeah.
stand the NFL in the preseason. Nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one plays.
Oh,
Nobody plays. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, that's a huge change.
Yeah.
That spring, not having that Lollapalooza, where you have the Lollapalooza, we have the Stanford, they have the spring game, and then there's usually a baseball game and a softball game. And there's a water polo match,
Yes,
women's
yes,
water polo, and
yes.
they combine it all. It's the Lollapalooza weekend. It's a big deal, but
Yes.
without that spring game, that's a big deal. That really hurts Stanford a lot, because that brings the people out. It brings the people
But they
out.
don't want the players poached.
They don't want them poached. They don't want them poached because you
Yeah.
could see someone. You could see someone who's just some poor little tight end making $280,000 a year. He gets poached, and now he ends up somewhere else, and yeah. Well, what if you did that? I mean, you do. I mean, I'm still single, ladies. Look, I'm with the freaking youngster. We got a podcast. My wingman in Boston. We got a podcast. How do you like them apples? Huh? Let me name you all my Irish. Let me name you. Let me name you all my Irish brothers. There's Jimmy, Johnny, Bobby. Joe. It's just out of that movie. But anyway, what if they did that in dating? You're on a date, and then you just go into a transfer. You're dating someone, and then I'm dating her. I think this is getting serious. And then she's gone. She put herself into a transfer portal and she's dating someone else. Well, I guess they have Tinder and all that. I guess that's kind of the same thing, right? Profiles, and I keep getting all these things. I keep getting all these I'm on Facebook. I keep getting all these things. Hi, I saw your profile and I'm only 13 minutes away. It's like an Uber lift. Hi, I'm Jeanette. I saw your profile. I'm only 5 minutes away. Like the lift is coming. They're coming.
They're bots.
And I go, but I don't have a profile. Look at them. One guy chimed in, that's amazing, because I live in Australia. How can you be 15 minutes away? But they're bots. They're not real people.
They're not.
So they're bots.
Or if they
I think I feel worse now. I thought they were real people really wanting me. But that's what you're telling me. Well, I'm on a podcast, so it's sort of a win-win, win-lose. Win, I'm on a podcast with a youngster. I got my own podcast. Lose, the ladies who are saying they're only 13 minutes away really don't exist. This is just, they're not really real. They're bots.
They're bots. Or
Like in Austin Powers?
Yeah, Austin.
The fembots? When he fights the fembots?
I know Austin Powers, but I don't know that scene. But like, I feel like, or if they're real, it's like, it's either some.
Anything?
If they are real, it's either like some random dude in the Philippines in the basement just trolling, like trying to get money.
Really?
Yeah, like they'll like put on like this fake profile, like it's like this, I don't know, this OnlyFans girl, but then it's like in reality they're just trying to like get your money, and then it's some random dude in basement in Michigan or something like that, something like that. That's how it be though. So like you gotta like
I'm devastated.
I get so many follow requests,
they're all
Do-
bots though.
do-
They're bots.
but they're bots. Yeah.
They're
I think it's
bots.
probably because
They're bots.
you might have followed like someone or like some
Yeah.
model or something. I don't know. And then you get like a bot like that. So
Wow.
yeah,
Careful who you follow.
careful.
I will be careful who I follow.
Digital footprint.
Follow, follow, follow. Look to the rainbow. Follow, follow.
Oh,
Great Irish musical.
speaking of,
Indians Rainbow. Tuesday is March 17th. Just remember that. And the parade is the 14th coming up. It is the 175th anniversary parade of the San Francisco St. Patrick's Day Parade. And it's the 250th anniversary of the United States of America.
do you have any St. Patty's Day advice for him? Because he's going to be in the heart of it all in
We're
Boston.
going to be in the heart of it all.
Any advice?
You got to get out there. Got to get out there early.
Mm.
Got to get there early, young man, because you're going to have Vince as your wingman, because I'm coming out to Boston. Yes, I am. We have a podcast. Yes, we do. Ladies, we have a podcast.
Any advice about Guinness?
Guinness is the best. Stay away from any kind of like mixture, like black and tan or Irish car bombs or any of this nonsense. You just want the black stuff. Now, if you're out and about and you're with your crew, but you have a big exam or you're not going to Uber or you're going to have to drive or something, you want to do the NA, you want to do the Joe Montana Guinness O, non-alcoholic. It's in a can. Maybe in Boston it's on tap. It tastes like a Guinness and it's non-alcoholic. That and the Heineken non-alcoholic. NAs are in. People aren't drinking and the pubs are having a tough time. And did you know that in England, pubs are closing? You have beautiful pubs. I mean, they go back to the Army, Navy, regiments that are closing down because people are not gathering at pubs anymore. And it's a tough business.
What about
And the reason I think it is that because you have this hookup generation, this Tinder, this I'm on it, that they're hooking up or whatever, they're on the computer or whatever, and they're meeting people. They don't need to go. You don't need to go to a pub and maybe meet someone so there's just drink and there's food, but and many people feel it's an older type of thing. It's only older people there. And they're having a tough time. Pubs are wonderful. I mean, it's a place you can go, you can be yourself, you can relax, and just pass the time. Like baseball used to be, you could pass the time. We were at Fiddler's and we were watching curling. And it was a great night. I mean, we were drinking pints of Guinness, you're watching the Olympics, and it's curling. I mean, this is like the greatest drinking thing ever, right? And they have the young ladies from Sweden and the Canadian ladies and the American ladies and the guys are doing it inspired me to clean, to sweep. And you're looking at them going, see, if I was in the Olympics, I wouldn't, if I was an Olympian, I wouldn't be looking at the speed. I wouldn't be looking at the ice skaters. It's too much cycle or the speed or the downhillers too. I would be looking for a curler. That's the one. Someone who works and working. So there's already a work ethic. They can be a team. They can get the ball, those stones, which are millions of dollars. Those stones are worth millions of dollars, and it's a great drinking event. I mean, you can't do that. You can't do that at a club. You can't sit there with your lads and your mates and watch curling for a couple of hours and what's great about it is it's like baseball. Instead of innings, they have ends. So there's 10 of them. And there's a top and a bottom and and you have to finish it. Like baseball used to be. You had to finish the game. Because George Carlin would say, gotta go home. It's a pastime.
Pastime.
You got to go home.
I can't watch
Where
baseball.
football is sunset. And there's a clock.
I can't watch baseball for like 30 minutes. It's so boring.
See? You can't watch
What,
it.
you don't like the Ghost Runner? Is that what you're telling me?
My dad did.
It's horrible. The Ghost Runner is horrible.
It is.
It's just as horrible.
It's
It's not even,
yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
even Patrick Swayze. Because at least if you were with a young woman, you could say, it's the Ghost Runner. Have you ever seen the movie Ghost? And they go, what movie is that? No, but most women love that movie, Ghost, right?
Yes.
Ghost.
Do you know what movie that
It's
is?
about
The time of my life.
1985.
Oh, Ghost. I think I heard of it.
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah. He dies and he comes,
No.
Ah,
Might have had too many vaccinations. Delete that. Delete it. No, just kidding. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
and it was Patrick Swayze. Yeah, it's a great movie. But yeah, I mean, that's the Ghost Runner. Yeah, it's horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
Just horrible. Although friends of mine that have little kids love it because they want to get them to the game. They get them in there. They get their ice cream. They get their hot dog. They're out of there. They get them what they want. Gone. Right? They think it's the greatest thing ever.
Well, we'll sit there through, extra innings,
Oh,
top of the 14th.
I love it.
We're still there.
We're still there.
It's
I remember my dad.
1-1 game.
I remember begging my dad to take me to a Oakland A's doubleheader. When you go to the doubleheader, and by the 5th inning of the second game, my dad saying, "We're leaving." No, I want to see the end of the game.
Yeah.
You've been there forever. You've been there forever. It's a great day. But it's a great day. No, they got rid of those, didn't they?
Well, what they'll do is they've come up with a scam of the day-night doubleheader where they're going to have you clear, the ballpark, then everybody re-enters versus, so it's two different revenue streams versus just the one ticket that gets you 2 games, like how it used to be.
Yeah, that was the advantage of the doubleheader.
First game my dad ever took me to, Giants Braves.
Yeah.
I think it was August of
Yeah.
1978.
Yeah.
1978.
Yes.
Oh, 1 ticket, 2 games, 12:05 a.m. 12:05 p.m. start on a Sunday. Vita Blue game 1, game 2, John Montefusco. Oh my gosh, we've lost our entire audience. We just told that. To answer your question about doubleheaders, no, they're virtually non-existent.
They're virtually non-existent.
Unless to make up for like a rainout,
Yes, right. So maybe they'll do it.
maybe, or the day-night doubleheader, the scam.
It's total scam.
Weren't they doing like the one where it's like double? It's 7 innings, though, right? Wasn't that a thing? Was that a
yeah.
COVID thing?
That was a COVID
That was
thing.
a COVID thing.
Oh,
What do you think of the 7-inning? How about the 7-inning no-hitter?
Oh my God. Horrible.
Yeah.
Just horrible. I mean, I remember growing up and I was terrible.
Were you a Mets guy or a Yankees guy?
Oh, we were always Yankees.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Although the first baseball book I ever read was by Murray Allen called The Miracle Mets. And it was about that 69 team.
Yeah.
Ron Swoboda, Tom Seaver, Ed Kranepool.
Yeah.
They beat the Baltimore. So I kind of had a little thing for the Mets.
Was Jerry Koosman on that?
Jerry Koosman,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. And it was very, yeah. So it was interesting. And then my second book was the Mustache Gang by who was that? Who wrote that? It was a Bay Area guy, but it was about the A's, Gene Tennis, and how they won. They beat the Cincinnati Reds, and of course you always remember, getting out Johnny Bench, where Gene Tennis, said we're going to walk him, and it drew it right by Johnny Bench and got him
Wow,
out.
that's a
That
great
was just
memory.
a great memory. Just a great, and of course the Mets. I mean, I remember Buddy Harrelson beating up Pete Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He should be in the Hall of Fame now.
He should be.
God bless him.
A very light-hitting Bud Harrelson at that.
A very light-headed
Yeah.
Harrelson. A very.
But you know what's crazy about the game, right? So you've mentioned all these characters: Ed Kranepool,
Yeah.
Bud Harrelson,
Yeah.
obviously Pete Rose,
Yeah.
Gene Tennis,
Yeah.
right? The game back then had personalities, it
Yes.
had characters.
Yeah.
Now it's all tied up into analytics and
Yes.
StatCast
Yeah.
and probability and
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
In reducing failure rates as much as possible based off of spreadsheets.
Yeah.
That's like unheard of.
It's unheard of.
Also, there's flashy players though, like to argue. Like I feel like now they're like Fernando Tatis, Bobby Witt, like those are
More flamboyant, flashy players.
Players, like,
But that's true.
with they got swag, like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, back then they'd have one thrown right in their ear hole.
Yeah.
You know, Bob Gibson.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Drysdale.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Is it that
I
deep?
I mean,
Is it that deep as baseball?
no, but
English
it's
season game.
it's a different
that
thing because
intense.
wouldn't
Yes.
like Willie Mays,
Yeah.
he'd say, you know what? Drysdale's on the bump today. I don't like
Right.
kind of feel a little under the weather.
Right. Right.
We've lost an entire demographic.
We've
Yeah.
lost an entire demographic on this
Drysdale.
podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast. So we're on the podcast. We're youngsters.
How much time has it been?
I don't know. Would you like to go ahead and take
our youngsters?
This is,
a youngsters
How did we start
podcast.
it?
I think we started about a little bit before 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to ask our esteemed guest here?
I think probably jump into like the last question. I guess we were talking about if you had to, you know, have a message to the, you know, platform of different people you're getting. It can be general, it can be specific, it can be one for college students and then one for, you know, other people in your generation. If you just had any message,
Right.
anything, you know, to give, what would you say?
Well, I go back. I mean, I mentioned the Teddy Roosevelt thing about being in the arena. You know, I would also look to what President Reagan said. There's no great amount of good you can do if you don't take credit for it. And that was a great quote. And another one, when JFK was asked about happiness, because we all want to be happy. We all pursue happiness. We all want to be, we all want to be happy. We all want to be loved. Of course, there's that great quote of St. Augustine, our hearts are happiest when they're with you. Our hearts rest with you, being we want love, but we will never be fulfilled until we're with the Creator, until we're with the end. And JFK was asked about happiness in a press conferences were brilliant. And he said, well, I have to refer to the Greeks. And that is, happiness is the full use of your powers with accordance with the matters of excellence. So if you are trying to achieve something excellent, like your podcast or whatever, that is where the happiness is. The happiness then flows through that. And that's why when you have men who have retired, who are alone, looking at the internet, who aren't involved, who aren't working, men who aren't, even if you're working at McDonald's, even if you get out there, just get out there and put yourself out there. And, you know, this is still your life. You still have so much to give. Get in the arena. You know, you're not one of the pitiful souls who never tried. You know, the full use of your powers according to the matters of excellence, pursuing the matters of excellence. That's what JFK said. And when you were working together and you don't take credit for it, you let it go. What you can do, as Reagan said, what you can do. Those are the 3 messages that I have. And I know so many guys, man, particularly men. And of course, you know, when Erica Kirk spoke at her, and she talked about those men, those lonely men, she was referring to young men, but they're old men too, who are all alone. They're men my age who are all alone. And you can't get them to go to the baseball game. You can't get them to go out. You can't get them to go get a beer. What are you doing? What are you doing? You know, I don't know. I mean, that's just not where I'm at. Maybe that's not where I'm at. And, you know, I'm lucky that I'm very healthy and, you know, working out with this guy, him and Joe Rogan, and they're doing creatine and RFK Jr. And we're just getting wrong. But work out with guys who don't think have tattoos on their face and they've been in the system. Come on, Reggie. I'm hanging out with one guy in Boston because I'm a youngster. But happy St. Patrick's Day. Hey, that's my buddy, my cousin from Cali. Okay, but okay, whatever. But anyway, yeah, I mean that is what I would say. And the men need to stand up. Men need to get back into it. And I think we put men down, we put men down, we put men down. Sure. We put on, and naturally you don't want to rock the boat. You want to stay out there. If you're in a big company, you want to say the right things. You want to, but men need to, if you're a man, you need to, there's a lot you can contribute, even though the society may say you're done, you're finished. No, there's a lot you can contribute. I mean, you could do junior giants. I mean, I know guys who, they're not doing anything. Go coach junior giants. You might meet a single mom. I mean, what? I mean, do something. Get out there. What are you doing? Yeah. That's it. Do a podcast. Get on a podcast with a youngster. Be like me. No, I'm just kidding. Be like him.
You don't want that.
Yeah. And my Lyft is only 13 minutes away. My Uber's 5 minutes away, and that young lady said she's only 14 minutes away because she saw my profile, and I don't have a profile. But now that I've been on the podcast,
they're bots.
They're bots.
It's over. It's all over. I'm devastated. They're bots. Yeah, baby, they're bots. Yeah, baby. Psychedelic, baby. Austin Power. That was when England was great. That was when Great Britain was great. Yeah, baby. Taking down Dr. Evil. Taking him down, baby.
Well, Vince,
didn't even mention Churchill, did we?
No, we need to get in that direction.
That's our next
podcast. For a different podcast.
That's Peter Robinson podcast.
Churchill.
That's the
Churchill landing on the moon, splatter, all of that.
Churchill was amazing on the moon. Never surrender. Yeah, he was great when he landed on the moon. Yeah, he smoked that cigar with his little dog.
I think Chamberlain was pretty underrated.
Very underrated. Yes, he didn't make the podcast, but I did.
That's right.
Yes, Neville Chamberlain. I always like when they mention him on oh god, what's the British show? It was so famous. Oh. Anyway, they have a float in the Rose Bowl parade. Rose Bowl. We want to bring the Rose Bowl back?
Oh my gosh, the Rose Bowl luncheon.
When is our next bowl luncheon? Can we save the bowls? Can we say it till?
I mean, the Emerald Nuts Bowl.
The Emerald Nuts Bowl. Yes, the Emerald Nuts Bowl. Yeah.
That's for a different podcast. We're going to solve NIL issues.
Yes, the greatness of the pantheon of college football.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
Yep, college football. The pageantry. Keith Jackson, God bless his soul. Kirk Gowdy. Look at the guys we had. Kirk Gowdy, Keith Jackson. I mean, we have Tony Romo, I guess. He's okay.
Chris Schenkel.
Bob Costas. And, I was watching the Olympics coverage. And, I thought Mike Tirico did a great job, particularly that last day.
I think he's pretty good.
I think Mike Tirico's very talented. And he's done a couple of KZSU. There was a sports show a few years ago that he was actually on. Mike Tirico's really classy. But I've noticed the coverage was a little different this year. It was interesting. The people they had covering, it was interesting. But I always remember the Bob Beatty and the ski lift, and we still have Rowdy Gaines at the swimming pool, and there was always certain people at the certain events,
Signature voices.
Signature.
I mean, it's Jim Lampley and Jim McKay.
Oh God, right? Jim Lampley, Jim McKay. Oh my God. And of course, there was that movie about Munich and that just came out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the whole thing about how there was the big debate of after when the hostages were taken, do you go to news or do you let the sports guy take it? And they let Jim McKay take it. And that showed how great he was that he could take that. And
Al Michaels.
Al Michaels as well. Al
I
Michaels.
think he's watched them. Like,
He's not a fan.
not a fan.
Right here down the street. It was an Atherton.
Does he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, you have Andrew Luck's place is right around the corner now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old pro right
Well,
there.
that's more his feel.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
like
Yes, that's right. Number 12.
number
Andrew
12.
Luck, yes. Yes, he's gonna get us a
Well,
quote.
the real number 12 is actually Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is number 12. That's
QB1.
QB1. Cal Bears.
Well, Vince, we can't thank you enough for, the amazing stories, the perspective, the optimism, the enthusiasm, just really your the effervescence of life that you display. And I've seen it in moments, casual moments in the workplace, just, our own interactions between you and me and, the times prior, the three of us. And it's all real. It's all genuine. It's definitely not an act. You inspire so many and we're so grateful for that.
Thank you, Reggie. And your son is just amazing. Both your boys are amazing. A group, you're watching them doing swimming and golf and soccer and track, and now going on to these universities of Boston U and the University of California, like their dad. It's just unbelievable. And seem so focused and doing this great media stuff. It's hard. Media is really hard because everyone, and you're all got a podcast. It's a big deal.
We just want to be a guest on your radio
You
show.
will
Actually,
be a guest on
really
the
makes it
radio show.
fun.
We got lots of.
So we did a 90-minute podcast just so we can go on the radio show. That's really the whole thing. That's the only reason.
Action. It's in action.
Yeah.
Gavel to gavel coverage. Monday, Tuesday nights, 90.1 FM.
I love it, Vince.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. God bless, brother.